How could an ordinary teacher cause a quarterback and a football to disappear in a football game, making for the most unusual game in history? And most of all, how could any ordinary teacher take you on a broomstick ride, no engine, no batteries, no fooling, to meet with a crazy but scientifically mind-boggling contraption called a computer witch? You can take it from me, Rupert P. for Peevely, though that's not something I care to have generally breezed around, Brown the Third, scientist devoted to truth and accuracy, that's what happened with Miss Switch. Because the fact is that only one side of Miss Switch's nature was that of a teacher. The other side, known only to Amelia and me, was that of a witch. A real one. And naturally, a person who combines all the best qualities of a terrific teacher and a good witch would be pretty impossible to beat. I think you can understand, however, why I couldn't reveal all this to my mother or my father. My father thinks he's a very humorous person, and probably would have come up with a bunch of jokes about the subject, not believing any of it for a moment. My mother would have rushed me off to our doctor for a physical, or loaded me down with vitamin C. My mother has simple remedies for everything. Some of them actually work, but I just don't believe vitamin C is the answer to witchcraft. So Amelia and I said no more as my mother went to the window and peered out. Brr, it's a nasty night. That must be why you two are feeling so glum. See here, have you finished your homework for tomorrow? Amelia and I looked at one another again and shrugged. We didn't know what this was leading up to. Then we both nodded. We had finished our homework ages ago. Good, my mother said. We don't want Amelia getting behind on her work so her parents won't ever let her stay with us again, do we? Amelia and I shook our heads dutifully. No, we certainly didn't want that. I should explain here that Amelia was spending a few days with us because her mother and father had to make an emergency trip out of town. She slept in the small room down the hall that's our guest room when we have guests and my mother's sewing room when we don't. Then why don't you take this hour before bedtime and start on one of your experiments, Rupert? That should cheer you both up. My mother was really feeling sorry for us. Neither of my parents ever actually suggests that I do an experiment. This is because a lot of them end up looking diseased and disgusting, like my moldy orange experiment, or smelling terrible, like my maggot growing on pork chop experiment, which looks diseased and disgusting besides. Some of them, especially ones involving my mustard jar alcohol burner, my parents seem to think are downright dangerous, as well as smelling terrible. My father says if the smells haven't already driven us out of the house, we'll probably all be blown out someday. He really does think he's funny. At any rate, you can understand my surprise at hearing this suggestion from my mother. We'll think about it, I replied, and tried to look pleased and grateful. My mother then left with a cheerful, encouraging, sympathetic, hopeful smile. But as soon as she had disappeared, Amelia and I fell into another gloomy silence. I just don't feel like doing an experiment, I said. I don't either, said Amelia. I wonder why we don't. Maybe it's because we've suddenly started thinking so hard about Miss Switch. Maybe you're right. We fell silent again. Do you suppose it's because she's getting ready to come back? Amelia asked suddenly. I shook my head. She said she was never going to, and I believe her. Well, maybe somebody repaired that dumb old computer witch, and it's sending Miss Switch back here to prove herself as a witch all over again. Did you ever think of that, Rupert P. Brown? Amelia's brown curls bounced defiantly on her forehead. She was getting mad at me, as if it was all my fault. Of course I've thought of that. I got angry too. But when I say that the computer witch was wrecked, I mean it was R-U-I-N-E-D wrecked, Amelia M. Daly. And anyway, the only witch who would have wanted to repair it was Saturna, whose idea it was in the first place. Which, in case you've forgotten, is why she was banished from Witch's Mountain. The rest of the witches hated it.